what I always say. You can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. So it's 8:30 in the morning, and Randall and I are here at
Heaven Hill.
Now,
you may not know the name of the distillery, but you know the products that they make.
Larceny.
Elijah Craig.
Let's see, Evan Williams.
Yep. Big one. Fighting Cock.
Yep. Oh, there's so. I mean,
Old Fitzgerald.
Old Fitz. The names go on and on because this is one of the legendary distilleries here in Kentucky. So this morning we're actually going to be picking a barrel, but if everything goes correctly, we'll probably be meeting the master distiller, and we'll be meeting some of the people that actually are responsible for doing a lot of the blending and product testing for the entire distillery and the entire product line. So it's going to be actually a pretty interesting day. So what do you do here, sir?
So I am the director of new product development.
Okay.
I've been here for a little over 28 years. So I've done a little bit of everything. Our team tastes, filters, proofs, and prepares all the private barrel samples that go out to the sales force, among many other, tasks with doing taste tests and approving samples for future batches and all that sort of stuff.
One of the coolest things as we're walking by, this second barrel here is the oldest barrel in the rick house. I believe it was barrel number 1,750,000.
Oh, nice.
I think it was placed there in 1971. What do you call this, Chris? I always call it kind of like the spine of the rick house. It kind of is holding everything together.
Do not pull.
Take that bolt out.
But you can see the plumb bob there, and that's hung from the very top, and that kind of tells us what's going on with the rick houses in terms of being leveled out.
But you want it to have some movement.
It's going to move.
You don't want it to be rigid.
But you want to move back and forth, not just in one direction.
They open the windows in all the rick houses on the first floor and on the top floor in the springtime, and leave those open through the hot months, and then close them up again in the winter, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always been told, they can probably attest to it more than I can, that to have good whiskey, you've got to have good airflow. So.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like the plumb bob and windows.
Yeah,
it's a high-tech industry.
Very high tech.
But we're currently sitting on 1.6 million barrels of aging whiskey.
All right, so we're here at Heaven Hill, right? And a lot of people may not know the name. They know the products that they make, which leads us to this kind of interesting thing. We've seen distilleries that have a name, but the name isn't the actual product that they make. So a lot of people think that there's something kind of shady. If Elijah Craig isn't made at the Elijah Craig Distillery, then,
how did that come about?
Is that
fake, or are they just making up stories?
Right.
Or how's it going? I mean, I think Kentucky is probably one of the places that sort of continues with the heritage of the brand rather than just the distillery.
Well, and also that there's a long-standing tradition of this. Heaven Hill may have made contract juice for somebody.
Right.
Ryan's Rye, right?
Oh yeah, good name.
And at the end of the day, Ryan may have passed on. Sorry to see you go, Ryan. But they have kept the label, or it's been so popular that they've kind of moved it into their portfolio.
Right.
They have a very popular label that was the original Pappy Van Winkle distillery product called Old Fitzgerald.
Yeah, exactly.
Stitzel-Weller, the distillery is closed down. They moved the label and the product over to this distillery. So Old Fitzgerald is made at Heaven Hill, where that wasn't always the case. So as the history and the brands change and the ebb and flow of the industry, it's confusing. But I think
a
lot of the hipsters try and make it nefarious or dumb.
Yeah,
it's the nature of business.
So this is our R&D lab. Every private barrel sales set that goes out to our sales force comes through here. People on this team, Trish, Beebe here in R&D, and then we have Mike Sani and Tawny Godey, Mike. So what we do is we go around and we pull samples out of each one of the barrels that make it into the program. So that's what we have here. They're tasted, they're smelled, to make sure they meet quality standards, and then they cut down those 200 milliliter samples into 94 proof from whatever they are out of the barrel.
So what we've got here are 3 barrel samples of Elijah Craig. So that's going to be our HH Reg mash bill, our 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% malted barley. They're going to be in that 8 to 12-year-old range. They are uncut and unfiltered. This is exactly how they were coming out of the barrel. So we will try them. I think we should go in order of proof. So we'll start with the lowest and go to the highest. All the whiskey does go into the barrel at 125 proof, and obviously you all know after it ages and depending on what floor it's on, that can go up or down. We do have the proofs on these: 137, 150.9, and 151.6. So we've got some heavy ones here. So, yeah. Review.
This is the first one, but now at bottling.
This will be more of the bottling strength.
You finding one?
I did that.
Number 2.
This is 2.
Cut down.
But this is not typical to Elijah Craig.
I agree.
That's number
3.
There's number 3. So
The proper accent, as we call it.
The first sample we have here is an 8-year-old sample from Warehouse EE, our Deatsville location on the 6th floor. The second sample that we've got is a 10-year-old sample from Warehouse F. That's on our main warehouse property here. Came from the 6th floor. And then the last sample here is a 12-year-old sample, also from Warehouse DD, our Deatsville location, 7th floor.
I told you that one is going to be the one that we're picking.
I
don't
know,
wanna
that's
disagree.
right.
I like
So,
it.
yeah, no,
Not to disagree with the biggest guy in the room, but I think he's my least favorite.
Right.
Of the 3.
But it's the least typical of those of that flavor. I feel it like kind of creamy and buttery. It would be more like it was
Number 3
less
closed
of that
the-
kind of rye
closed
and
the
the wood
gap.
spice.
that gap was a lot bigger between 1 and 3 when, not 2, but between 1 and 3. That
I'm
gap,
not pushing
with
2.
No, I'm saying with the water, that gap got a lot closer. We all got down to the point where we had to pick one of the barrels. And we chose barrel number 1. And number 1 happened to be an 8-year-old.
8-year-old barrel.
And we keep pointing this out. There was an 8, a 10, and a 12. The best tasting one. You guys in agreement? Yes. Of the barrel, except for Randall, always got one outlier, was barrel number 1, and it's fantastic, and you're going to get to try it. But I'd like to thank everybody here at Heaven Hill for helping us out today and being such great and gracious hosts. I really appreciate it. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'd like to propose a little bit of a toast to the guy behind the camera,
Yes.
whose favorite brand and what started him on his bourbon trip was Dan. And Dan loves Elijah Craig, and so
Yes, to
Dan,
Dan.
even though you're not in front of the camera, we're putting you on the spot and telling you that.
Yeah, come over here. Come over here. Yes, to
Were
Dan.
you
Come
happy?
on.
Do you give the stamp of approval on the pick that we made?
Cheers.
Cheers.